Hey guys, it's me, Vinny Lospinuso. I'm back with another video. And as we know, week 3 was a really surprising one throughout the entire NFL. And it was a really fun one for many reasons. You had some nice upsets, you had some very close games down to the wire. And we also had that Sunday night game, which the less we talk about, the better. Okay, starting off, we had the Thursday game where we had the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Cleveland Browns. I picked the Steelers to win this game. I should pick the Browns. The Browns defeated the Steelers by the score of 29-17. Jacoby Brissett looked like the better quarterback all around. Amari Cooper had a day. Mitch Trubisky, I think Kenny Pickett's going to be the quarterback sooner rather than later, honestly. In the 1 o'clock games, a big upset in Miami. The Dolphins defeated the Bills, a team that blew out the Rams and the Titans. They lost their division rival in Miami. And it looks like the division for the AFC East is going to be a lot tougher than we thought. Oh man, this sounds so much fun. I can't wait to see what happens for the rest of the season. In a game that everyone saw coming, the Bengals defeated the Jets on the road. The Bengals finally won their first game of the season. Granted, for the Jets, after their week 2 performance against the Browns, they came crashing back down to earth, and it looks like, for all we know, Robert Saleh could be out after only 2 years. So much for me thinking the Raiders would win their first game of the season. Looks like they're going to have to win again because the Titans won. They finally got their first win of this. Was it their first win? Yeah, they finally got their first win of the season against the Raiders. Was it their first win? Yes, it was their first win. They lost to the Giants and then to the Bills. So this is their first win. The Titans collected their first win, and the Raiders are still searching for answers. I still think the Raiders are going to be a good team when all is said and done, or at least some way halfway decent team. But so far, it's not a good start. I predicted the Saints would win this game against the Panthers. However, due to injuries for Andrews Pete, Michael Thomas, and Jarvis Landry, combined with the defense of the Carolina Panthers, Carolina did in fact win this game, and now the Saints are 1-2, a far cry from what I thought they were going to be. I still think they're going to be competitive when all is said and done. Now I'm kind of questioning whether or not they'll be a playoff team now. So the Ravens absolutely destroyed the Patriots. I got that one correctly. Mac Jones is going to be out for at least 4 weeks because of a bad high ankle sprain. So the Ravens are legit. Even last week's loss against the Dolphins showed that they are in fact legit. Lamar Jackson is an MVP candidate. I absolutely believe it. The Minnesota Vikings came back and won against the Detroit Lions within less than a minute to go. I think both of these teams could be fighting for a wild card spot when it's all said and done. I'm not sure about the division. I still think that's the Packers to lose, but both of these teams are very competitive. Lions defense needs some help, but their offense looks really good. The Philadelphia Eagles blew out the Washington Commanders. I think the Eagles right now are the best team in the NFC. Whether or not they're going to end up being the 1 seed in the NFC remains to be seen. But Jalen Hurts has played out of his mind. The offensive line is doing great. The defense of the Eagles is doing great. And yeah, so far they look like the front runners to win that division. And a huge surprise after tying and losing, the Indianapolis Colts, led by future Hall of Fame quarterback Matt Ryan, got the job done against the Kansas City Chiefs, 20-17. The Chiefs' special teams was not good today. Also, even in a winning performance, Ryan did get sacked, I think, like 6 times, and he fumbled twice very early on, but he got it rolling at the end, and he's now 5th all time in fourth quarter comebacks, which really debunks the idea of him being a choker, because if he's a choker, how come he's 4th? How come he's 5th all time in I understand, but still, he's gonna eventually surpass Breeze and went on and be 4th and maybe even 3rd or 2nd when he retires. So the Chiefs, the AFC West is a whole pattern. The AFC West, despite being marketed as potentially a division that could have a winning season all across the board, they've looked pretty mediocre to start the entire season for the entire division. And then finally, the Chicago Bears defeated the Houston Texans in the Lovie Smith Bowl. But even though the Bears are 2-1, their offense is just not good at all, especially in the passing game. They've won their 2 games because of their defense. Went up against a team that's really, really good, and it's not raining like the Packers, they got blown out. So don't think of this as the Bears potentially being a playoff team, because I'd love to see that happen, but I'm not banking on it, especially with this offense. For their 4 o'clock games, another huge surprise. The Jacksonville Jaguars absolutely decimated the Los Angeles Chargers, and Rashawn Slater is out for the season for the Chargers. Man, just all around, the AFC West has been a really big disappointment. Well, but props to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They got the job done, and they look like they could potentially be winning this division with how they're playing right now. Trevor Lawrence has played out of his mind so far. Doug Peterson, if they make the playoffs, should definitely be in the Coach of the Year conversation. James Robinson went out, and their defense played really well also. The Los Angeles Rams defeated the Arizona Cardinals. They're now 2-1 and leading their division, which, from all intents and purposes, they're going to probably win when the season's over, because everyone else in that division I don't think is really competitive enough to reach them. And I falsely predicted the Buccaneers would beat the Packers, and said what happened was the Packers beat the Buccaneers in a very low-scoring game. You had the Buccaneers end up losing on a missed 2-point conversion. Even though they still had a chance to win it, but I'm right now, if I'm the Buccaneers, I'd be looking at how Brady's marriage situation is right now, because that could potentially decide what happens with him after this season. And finally, I correctly predicted the Atlanta Falcons would beat the Seattle Seahawks. Cordell Patterson, who I believe is a future Hall of Famer, went off in today's game. The Falcons have won their first game under the Marcus Mariota regime. Their offensive line has played really, really, really well at this point in the season. I don't think it's because of Mariota, because Mariota has been throwing a few interceptions. He's been very haphazard. But still, the Falcons won. That's what should be matter at the end of the day. For the Sunday night game, you had probably the worst Sunday night game I've seen in ages. Like, it was like 7-5 at the end of the third quarter. Both offenses could not get it going. Russell Wilson played really bad. Jimmy Garoppolo played really bad. Their defenses played well, but their offenses were just awful. Doesn't help that for the 49ers, Trent Williams is going to be out for like 4 to 6 weeks. So that's going to be a big blow for them. Future Hall of Fame tackle. But Jimmy Garoppolo didn't play well, and yes, Russell Wilson had the game-winning drive, but he didn't particularly look that great when it came down to it. And if their offense clicks, this team, with how good their defense has been, could potentially be a real force to be reckoned with. The problem is their offense is not good, and their only wins were against the Texans and the 49ers, which aren't really that impressive when you look at how their offenses are. And then finally, the Dallas Cowboys defeated the New York Giants, ending the Giants' quest of going 17-0. And their offensive line for the Giants was absolutely awful. It's honestly surprising how they were able to lose by only 7 points, with how much their offensive line got completely tormented by the Cowboys' front seven. And, well, Daniel Jones, I'm not going to put too much blame on him. I don't think he was really in much of a good position to succeed, even when he was drafted. But, he's gone after this season. And Sterling Shepard, my God, you just feel for him, man. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on NFL Week 3. I think the 49ers-Broncos game was bad. I think Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa, you might put them in the MVP conversation. Lamar Jackson, obviously. Don't forget Josh Allen is still there. And, I think that so far the team that's been impressed me the most and surprised me has been the Jaguars, and the one that is least has been the Chargers. Guys, that's my thoughts. Please let me know, what do you guys think of the picks that I've made for this week? I've got 8-8. What do you think will happen next week? I'm going to have those shortly. So I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Take care.